Hey, fellow Muppet fans, and welcome to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch The Muppet Christmas Carol 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And today we have a return guest. It's always great to talk Muppets and Muppet movies with her. Guest, please introduce yourself.
My name is Jennifer Garlen, and I am the co-editor of 2 books about Jim Henson and the Muppets, Kermit Culture, and the Wider Worlds of Jim Henson.
Yeah, and everyone should check those books out if you haven't already. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? But go check those out. So today we are here to talk about minutes 33 and 34 of The Muppet Christmas Carol, in which the ghost of Christmas Past takes Scrooge on a wild ride to his past. And as these minutes begin, Scrooge is face to face with this eerie, childlike ghost who we met last time. In fact, the first thing he says to her is, "You're just a child." But she does have a snappy comeback for this. She says, "I can remember nearly 1900 years. So presumably this ghost of Christmas Past has always been the ghost of Christmas Past.
Right.
Or since the year zero.
Right. I actually really think that the puppet makes this scene so much more fanciful than it ever does with a human.
Sure.
Like in most movie adaptations where the ghost of Christmas Past is just, Joel Grey with his hair slicked back or whatever.
Right.
That's the Patrick Stewart version. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's a notoriously difficult character to portray.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was looking over the annotated Christmas Carol book, which talks about the original publication. And one of the notes they had was that the original illustrator, John Leach, for Dickens' initial version that came out in 1843, Leach didn't even try to illustrate this character.
Oh.
He did illustrations of the other ghosts, but the Ghost of Christmas Past was so difficult to realize, to visualize the way that Dickens has described it, that the illustrator didn't even try. He said, "Nope, not going to do that."
Yeah, we've commented on the fact that this ghost is usually depicted as youthful or childlike, but not always. So I guess the fact that there's no standard depiction from the book to draw on, I guess people don't always know what to do.
It's also been played as an old woman in a couple of different versions. Edith Evans and Angela Pleasance had both played the character in earlier adaptations. And of course, Joel Grey, I don't think looks childlike.
No.
Probably wouldn't.
Not one of Joel Grey's bitter roles. But yeah, it's a character that has been portrayed by men, it's been portrayed by women, it's been portrayed by young people, old people, and that's because Dickens' original version has all of those things in it. It's technically a non-binary character. It's neither male nor female.
Right.
Well, and that's what I mean with this puppet. I think it gives it such an otherworldly affect that is impossible to do with a person playing it.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Like even in animation, like you and I talked about last week, Ryan, the Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol and the Richard Williams version both try to kind of try to capture this, shifting.
Just something, totally otherworldly.
Right, but this one's really effective, I think.
It's one of my favorite parts of this adaptation. The way in which the puppetry allows this very ethereal being is so lovely and so true to the spirit of Dickens' story. And even though obviously it's a Muppet adaptation, it takes a lot of liberties with Dickens' story, right? To see that particular ghost done so well makes it such a joy.
Yeah. And I think we may have said last week that some fans of this movie find this ghost creepy to the point of being off-putting, but I think the creepiness is just such an important part of the character, especially because it's the first of these 3 ghosts that Scrooge meets.
I don't think this ghost is creepy.
No, I don't either.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, eerie, otherworldly, ethereal. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't even say creepy either myself. She looks a little bit like the babies from Bobby Benson's Baby Band, which people are also turned off by.
That's not true. It doesn't look like that baby Dan.
Maybe a little bit.
The ghost is okay. So there are a lot of things going on with the ghost, and one of the things that Dickens meant to evoke is the Christkindle, right? The Christ child, because the ghosts do evoke different aspects of, the religious message of Christmas, what we see with Ghost of Christmas Present later on, right? And the Saint Nicholas imagery. So this one is the German tradition of the Christkindle, but it's also the nebulous nature of memory. In the story, in Dickens' original text, Scrooge says the ghost of long past, and the ghost says, no, your past. Yeah. And so the reason that it looks like it does is because it's an amalgamation of everyone from Scrooge's life.
Right.
Yeah. Which that exchange is in the movie, is in fact in this scene it's moved to while they're flying instead of taking place in Scrooge's house.
Yeah, the ghost says it can't be dawn, and the ghost says no, it is the past.
It is the past, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But in the book, the ghost says your past very specifically.
Right.
Well, they say that here. I mean, Scrooge says is the past, and Scrooge says long past, and she says your past.
Okay, that might
be different.
I haven't rewatched the next 2 minutes after Archie.
Right.
Oh yeah,
sure, but
too.
But you're right though. It's still different because in the book, the ghost is talking about itself.
Yes.
And here it's talking about the past that they're going into.
Right.
So you're right. It's still different. Yeah. Right. No, I was going to say, Jennifer, I've been reading through the annotated this whole time.
I knew you had gotten it. I saw that you had gotten that edition when you said you were going to read several different classic books on Instagram.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I've been reading it through for the podcast, but it's so nice to have you come on and just be like, oh, here's my deep understanding of the book. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
I used to teach Christmas Carol all the time. And
Makes sense.
I've done whole 6-week classes just on Christmas Carol with my lifetime learners because it's such a rich text.
It really is, especially for such a short book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just an amazingly dense, evocative story. You can see why it's attracted so many film and television adaptations over the years. The first film adaptation, because it had been on stage before that, was in 1901. So movie versions of this as long as we've been making movies.
I assume that doesn't still exist.
I don't know that one does. There's several silent film adaptations of Christmas Carol, and of course 70% of silent films are lost. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how much still exists of those.
Yeah, it's too bad.
There's a compilation made by Kino called Christmas Past, which is just, have you seen it?
I knew about it.
Just a bunch of Christmas shorts, and that has the 1908 Christmas Carol in that. So I've seen that, and it's good. It condenses it down, but it hits all the important beats.
Well, the Muppet version condenses a lot of things down too, but it gets all the beats in there.
Well, that's the thing, about there being so many adaptations. There are just so many. There is just a few really important points that you have to hit, but other than that, you can pretty much get the message and the point of the story across in a pretty concise way.
One of the things I like about this particular scene from our 2 minutes for this episode is the tenderness that the ghost immediately evokes in Scrooge.
Sure.
And we think about how we've seen him before with childlike figures. Think about Bean Bunny in the snow and these things, right? And yet there's something about this ghost that doesn't cause him to feel fear, but causes him to be immediately very gentle. Even his argument about how a good night's sleep would be better for his welfare, the way King delivers that line, Scrooge is already very different from the ranting, raging Scrooge, that we've seen earlier in the film. And so his response to that ghost and what it symbolizes is so profound and immediate.
Yeah, these supernatural experiences are already having an effect on him.
Really. And that's true in the story. The Ghost of Christmas Past reaches Scrooge very quickly and effectively because it presents Scrooge with himself and with the deepest, most buried, most personal things about his life. And the tenderness, especially, we don't see it in this movie version, but in Dickens' story, the relationship he had with his sister, who is the mother of Fred, really sets the tone for all of the emotional development that comes later, because it's that human connection that he gets back to and that he's lost.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's not a part that is present in most adaptations.
No, Fanny sadly gets cut out of. Fanny gets cut out of a lot of these, and it's a shame too, because she's really important to Scrooge and who he is.
Right. I mean, I think she's just as important as Belle, really.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's but she's in the Alistair Sim movie and she's in the George C. Scott movie, at least.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, she does show up, and of course in Scrooged, the Bill Murray movie, his brother is also an important character, and so his brother in that movie is the stand-in version for Fanny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have not seen the Bill Murray movie in a long time.
Oh my gosh, it's on our annual viewing Christmas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I keep saying, like, I gotta watch all these other adaptations. I should just sit down and, like, take a weekend and watch them all before the end of this podcast season.
Muppet Christmas and Scrooged are the ones we watch absolutely every year.
Sure.
I think this is the year you got to do it, Ryan. You just got to.
Oh yeah, this is the year that
a
it
nightly
makes sense
event
to
of it.
Do it. Yeah. I
think watch 24 different versions,
and then also watch Dan Stevens in The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
I did too, and it's great because like Gonzo being Dickens in the Muppet version, then you also get Dan Stevens arguing with his characters in The Man Who Invented Christmas version, and it's really fun. Very meta.
And Scrooge is Christopher Plummer. We should know. Like it's not like they got some no one to play Ebenezer Scrooge. You know?
No,
you don't get a nobody to play Ebenezer Scrooge. Come on, you get Mickey Mouse.
No, not usually, yeah.
Right.
You get Scrooge McDuck. You got to get a star in.
Right. Well, we mentioned.
I was going to say though, since listeners will probably correct me, I double checked. The silent version of A Christmas Carol that survives is the 1910 version.
Okay.
So
I can't believe you made that mistake.
I know. How dare I?
How dare you? We've mentioned before that the filmmakers of this briefly considered casting familiar Muppet characters as the ghosts, the three ghosts. And they talked about Scooter playing the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't do that.
I don't know how that would have worked. I mean, it would have been something they would really have to think about anyway if they had proceeded with the movie after Richard Hunt passed away, because Scooter would not be recast for several years. But I think overall, I think it's better that they did not go with casting familiar Muppets as the ghosts. There's just something about these three original puppets it just makes the movie that much more magical and cool,
powerful. I think that because the ghosts are original characters whom we don't attach other personalities to,
right,
we accept them wholly as these characters, and especially I think with this particular story, even though it has a lot of comedic elements, and of course the Muppets play up a lot of the comedy that we see with the Marley Brothers and Fozziwig and Gonzo hooking on to the Ghost of Christmas Past with a rope and swinging along, all those crazy things. There's a seriousness to this story, and you do it a disservice if you lose sight of its message.
Yeah, it does. By casting these or creating these new puppets, it allows their part of the story to be played straight and taken seriously.
And that's important when you've got Tiny Tim coming up.
Yeah.
You can't make everything else be funny, because if you do that, you're going to undermine the emotional impact of that sequence of the story. And that should be gut-wrenching. Like that, if that doesn't make you cry, you're a turnip, you're a stone.
Right.
You have no feelings. I read Christmas Carol over and over again, and in the book, when Tiny Tim dies, I lose it every time. It's so profound and moving and emotional, and you want that to be there in a movie version. So the Muppet version's got to keep that. And I think having Scooter and other characters as the ghosts would undermine some of our ability to process the emotional impact of what they're showing Scrooge.
Yes, it would be tempting to give them more jokes, and it would be distracting. Yeah, so
exactly, and there are plenty of jokes.
Right.
I think it really helps that we obviously haven't gotten to Christmas Present yet, but I think the fact that Christmas Present is such a jovial character anyway, like that it's Jerry Nelson playing essentially a new Muppet,
right,
and that's fine, and that fits with the book. I think that really helps that feel natural here.
Right,
they're not just like three completely alien characters, but one of them is like, oh, hey, it sounds like Pa Gorg, and it's like a cheerful,
kind of like
full body Muppet.
Well, this one is a little bit Muppety, and that one is very Muppety, and then the last one shows up and like totally, gobsmacks us by being the least Muppety and the most scary.
You're on your own, folks.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I think last week I said that this week I would have some notes about how they shot this puppet.
Right. This was one of the in oil.
Yeah. So they wanted to create this effect of her floating.
Mm-hmm.
So the original idea was they started out filming her. So the puppet is filmed separately from Michael Caine.
Right.
They started out filming the puppet in a tank of baby oil, but they realized eventually that it was too expensive to keep filling this tank full of baby oil, so they switched to water, which I guess works just as well. It's not like we can tell which shots are baby oil and which shots are in water, so water works just as well here.
Right, but it gives that floating quality to the costume and the strands of hair, so that we really do get a sense of this ghost existing in its own atmosphere.
Right. It works perfectly. And then her hands are usually controlled with arm rods that are clear plastic, so we never notice the arm rods. We can see right through them because they're clear, and she's filmed in water. So
Dickens always refers to the ghost of Christmas Past as it. He does not assign gender to this character. It is neither male nor female, because it incorporates Scrooge's memories of all the people he's ever known. There are aspects of it when Scrooge looks at it that evoke Fanny and evoke his childhood friends and evoke his father and evoke Belle, who's not named, right? And so it has all of these qualities to it. So Dickens always calls it because it's the most, unearthly thing to be confronted with. He also talks about it like seeming to have multiple heads and arms and legs sometimes.
I think, Anthony, you mentioned that last time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Weird. I have read the book maybe twice in my life. I did not remember that at all, but that's just a great way to describe a ghostly character.
Your homework for next time is to read.
Yeah, no, I gotta load up on all the book, the original book, all the adaptations, everything ever made.
It's so good.
Listen to the Lionel Barrymore radio production, at least one of them.
Oh, I think I may have heard that. Yeah, again, though, it's been a long time. So
so this is slightly off topic, but you had that Walter Cronkite tape set, right? The 20th Century's Greatest Radio Shows or whatever.
My parents may have had that one. It might have been that. I don't know.
Anyways, it was in there. If you
okay.
I thought we had discussed that.
Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of something.
It included all the class, like War of the Worlds and The Whistler, or what, The Hitchhiker, I mean.
You can offer
all that
edition that's a little bit shorter. That is Dickens' performance edition. So there you can get versions of A Christmas Carol that Dickens actually edited down, and he performed those as basically one-man shows, as live readings in a set, audience environment. He went around and did that. So there's actually a really good one. If you're short on time, you can read the version Dickens thought was, here's the meat of this story, that he actually performed live for people.
That's cool.
Right. And the annotated book by Michael Patrick Hearn that we've been talking about
has
both versions.
Yeah,
but it has both versions of the text. It has the condensed version second.
Yeah, and that's cool.
It's an amazing resource. I love it. I've actually got it sitting with me right now.
Yeah, me too. I keep it right next to me every time we record.
It's been so helpful for this season of the podcast. And actually, talking about radio dramatizations, I just remembered when I was a teenager, living in the San Antonio area, this was probably an annual tradition. A local talk radio station would do an adaptation of A Christmas Carol every year on the holidays. So you would be listening and it'd be like, oh, Nephew Fred, that's the guy who hosts that, that talk show in the afternoon. And oh, that ghost, that's the lady who does the weather. So that's yeah, that was a cool
Every
thing.
town big enough to have community theater has its own Christmas Carol production.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I've mentioned that they do it here in the Twin Cities at the Guthrie Theater every year. So.
Theater Huntsville here in Huntsville, Alabama also does an annual production.
Every year. Wow. Yeah, that's a nice tradition.
I've also seen a really entertaining, basically one-man version that they do at the Atlanta Shakespeare Tavern in Atlanta, Georgia. There are a lot of different versions. That was a little, like Patrick Stewart did that one-man Christmas Carol.
Right.
It's a little bit different because the actor is playing a lot of the different characters. But there are so many different ways to perform this story. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we've seen that for sure. The puppetry for this ghost is done by 3 puppeteers. There's Karen Prell. We've talked about her on this podcast. I believe she was in 1 or 2 of the other movies, right?
Well, she's Yolanda. So yeah.
Oh, of course, yes. So we've talked about Karen Prell. She's done a ton of Muppet stuff, including playing Red Fraggle on both Fraggle Rock series. So she's still at it. Also, Rob Tigner, I assume that's how to pronounce his name, Tygner. He has mostly worked on Creature Shop productions, including Labyrinth, The Storyteller, and Buddy. He later worked on Muppets Most Wanted.
Buddy?
Yeah, Buddy, that classic. One of the few releases by Jim Henson Pictures.
The classic Rene Russo adopts a gorilla movie.
Indeed, that's the one.
Hey, gorilla movies have a long history in Hollywood.
They do. It's true.
That's absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, Buddy is no King Kong.
No.
Or Mighty Joe Young.
No, nor is he even Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. So then there's also the third puppeteer is William Todd Jones, who also worked on Labyrinth and Muppets Most Wanted. Notably, also, I think I saw this on Muppet Wiki, he performed Aslan the Lion in the 1988 BBC version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I loved as a kid.
I remember that one,
yeah. That they aired that many times on PBS over the years, and I happened to come across it one year, like right after I had read the Chronicles of Narnia books for the first time. So that was a very cool adaptation.
And just to round out the performance credits, the voice was provided by Jessica Fox, who was about 9 at the time.
Yeah, we talked about her a little bit last week. She's still acting, we found. She was just a kid, like you say.
Hollyoaks. Yeah.
Hollyoaks, right. That was it.
She's been on that show for 17 years.
Yeah. Wow. On the DVD commentary, Brian Henson says that she did a really good job. She did her whole part in about a day, which was impressive considering she had to match the line readings to the mouth movements of the puppet that were already recorded. So, when they did that for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, you had all these veteran adult actors, longtime actors talking about how difficult it was to do that. So here's this young kid who comes in and does a whole movie doing that in one day. So obviously very talented.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So as we say, she introduces her, or itself, the ghost introduces the ghost's self as the ghost of Christmas Past. But she says she's there for Scrooge's welfare. And then this is a line that Jennifer cited a few minutes ago. But this has happened to me before in this movie. I could not understand this line. I played it back many times. Ultimately, I looked up a transcript. But this is where he says, "A night's unbroken rest might aid my welfare." Don't know why I couldn't make that out. But
your salvation.
And then.
Yes, that's her. Once again, she has a snappy comeback.
Right. So that is pretty much right out of the book.
Yes.
In the book, the ghost says your reclamation instead of salvation, but I guess salvation is easier to understand.
An easier word and an easier concept. Yeah.
Well, yeah. We have to put it in a modern idiom to some extent. We can't keep all of the Victorian vernacular.
Right. But what I was also going to say is this is interesting to me. This is one of those things where in an visual medium, people have to talk to each other rather than thinking things.
Yes.
But in the book, Scrooge doesn't say it to the ghost. Scrooge expressed himself much obliged, but could not help thinking that a night of unbroken rest would have been more conducive to that end.
Oh,
So in the book, he's actually more polite to the ghost about it
Right.
and doesn't say it.
Right. They're wearing him down, but he still just wants to be left alone. He would prefer to be left alone.
Right.
Then the ghost magically opens the window. We see Gonzo and Rizzo sitting on the tree branch right outside where, right where we left them. But Scrooge and the ghost do not seem to see them. So this, put this down in the column of Gonzo and Rizzo are not actually capable of interacting with the story, even though we have a few things that go in the column of actually they sometimes do interact with the story. But it's not totally consistent.
Well, I think Scrooge and the ghost have other things to think about right now. So
they might sort of see them, but they're just not really thinking about it. Yeah. Scrooge isn't worried about a rat and a thing on the tree branch outside his window any more than John Cleese was worried about a pig climbing up the side of his house.
Right. That's the chap.
That's the chap. So, like I say, Scrooge is not crazy about the idea of going out this window. The spirit says, "A touch of my hand and you shall fly." And it seems like just making contact with this ghost gives Scrooge this temporary ability to fly, because it's just his thumb and forefinger, really. There's this shot of him taking her entire hand in his thumb and forefinger, and that's the only part of him that's touching her. So this is not like Superman picking up Lois Lane and carrying her whole, physical body flying across the sky. And
right. The ghost is giving him the power of flight.
Yeah, like temporarily infusing him with this ability to fly. Fortunately for Scrooge, it's also not like Peter Pan, because he doesn't have to think happy thoughts, because Scrooge probably doesn't have any happy thoughts.
Well, Dickens emphasizes in this scene the strength of the ghost, and so that the ghost is able to carry Scrooge just with a touch is consistent with Dickens' idea that because this ghost is memory, is Scrooge's past, its power to compel and its power to carry somebody away, literally, is undeniable, irresistible. Scrooge is drawn into his own past. It's kind of like falling into a reverie, or seeing your life flash before your eyes. So the ghost has this power that can't be denied.
Yeah.
And so it's an incredibly strong entity, even though it seems so gentle.
Yeah, that's true. I also had in my notes, when Scrooge takes the spirit's hand, there's this little bell sound on the score, which I just think is such a nice little addition to give it just a little bit more magic. When they touch hands, it's like ding.
Yep. He's now entered the past.
Yeah, they're on their way. So then they fly out the window, and then for the next approximately minute and 20 seconds of this movie, they're just flying. That's what's happening.
Right.
Well, and that's why we have Gonzo and Rizzo there to spice that scene up, because otherwise it would seem a little, dull for the kids, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the book and other adaptations, so in the book they don't fly. We just get, as the words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road with fields on either hand. So this is like, well, it's a movie, we better spice it up, put in a little action, which is kind of what Robert Zemeckis does in his monstrosity.
Okay.
They've got that model of London. They might as well use it.
Right.
Right. Well, but also, like, this is so much more charming than the Zemeckis movie. Like, it's doing the same thing that I complain about with that one, but it's just better.
Well, there's the uncanny valley. I mean, there's some of that stuff. So
yeah. So yes, Gonzo and Rizzo. Gonzo winds up his grappling hook. He tosses it onto Scrooge. I guess Scrooge never notices this. So again,
he's distracted.
Rizzo and Gonzo are operating on some other plane of reality. Rizzo asks what Gonzo's doing, and I do like this little moment when Gonzo says, "Nothing, just hold on," and then they get yanked away into space. Now they're flying over the rooftops. In the DVD commentary, Brian Henson explains that these are all separate elements. Michael Caine, the Ghost, Gonzo, and Rizzo all filmed separately. Also, the rope. The rope was animated in later. So they filmed the Ghost in her tank. They filmed Michael Caine in front of a blue screen or a green screen, I guess. And then then the rope was just animated into the shot later. So,
in addition to sort of livening up the how do they get to the past segue, it totally fits for Gonzo to do something crazy like fly around suspended from a rope. So it's really in keeping with his character, whom we've known all this time as a Daredevil.
Right.
He's having a great time. He's enjoying himself immensely. He's cackling and loving every minute of it. And Rizzo's like, goodbye lunch. And
yeah, exactly.
Gonzo even meets a date. So
right. Gonzo has been relatively muted throughout this movie, but now we're really seeing this sort of thrill-seeking Daredevil, like bring on the pain version of Gonzo that we are more familiar with.
Right. Well, and getting back to the goodbye lunch moment, that's about as far into vomit humor as I want the Muppets to go. You know, like there are versions of that joke where they would like show Rizzo retching or something instead.
Oh, I hate that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a better decision, I think, than that would be.
It lets you kind of fill in the rest of the punchline on your own.
Right.
Yeah. The way that's set up is Gonzo's screaming, "Hello, London," and Rizzo says, "Goodbye, lunch."
Well, I think too, Rizzo's just complaining because he likes to complain. I don't think he's really. I don't think he's really that queasy, but he likes to complain.
Yeah, in this movie,
more reason to complain about that cat later on.
Right? Yeah. There's this interesting moment where Scrooge says, "Spirit," and she says, "Yes," and he says, "Nothing."
Yeah, I have no idea what that is supposed to be.
Was he going to say, "Oh, I dropped my keys back there"? Like, I don't know.
I think that it is indicative of how quickly this Scrooge is changing his ways. That a few minutes ago, he would have had a rejoinder, some smart comment to make, a night's unbroken rest, a little bit of gravy can affect him, right? All these kinds of rejoinders and snarky comments. And now he's thinking about it and he's speechless.
Right, like maybe he would have said something like, "Spirit, this is ridiculous. Take me back right now."
Right,
but now he really has nothing to say.
Something clever or whatever, right? But he is very tame about being taken into this situation. He seems willing to be borne along, which is, what happens when you start going down memory lane.
Yeah. Right, and that's where they're headed. So they see this bright light up ahead. Scrooge very astutely notes that it can't possibly be dawn, and no, it's the past. So then they just kind of fly into this bright light, and now they are in the past. Yes, this is a time travel story. This is this has to be one of the earlier time travel stories?
Let's not get into that.
I mean, it happens magically rather than scientifically. It's not like the usual sci-fi building a time machine kind of thing. But
true.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're now somewhere completely different. It's daytime. They're flying over this woods or forest of evergreen trees, but everything in movies is fake, and these trees are no exception. This is also from the DVD commentary by Brian Henson. He says that these trees are miniatures. Each of them is only about 3 feet tall. So keep that in mind next time you're watching this scene.
Well, you can get away with that in a puppet movie too. So they don't look real.
Yeah, and again, everything is moving very fast, and with everything being shot separately, you're just not thinking about it. But as they're flying, Gonzo continues to be loving this. Rizzo continues to be hating this. They are on the end of the rope, so they end up getting dragged through these trees. We hear these crashing noises. Gonzo is saying, like, "Pardon me, madam. Pardon me, sir." And then at one point, there's this noise that sounds kind of like the traditional Muppet cow mooing, or I don't know what it is. It's this deep voice going ooh or something like that.
Hang on, Rizzo! Sorry, man. Pardon me, sir. Oh, look out, Rizzo!
I assume it's a cow.
Yeah, there's a cow in the forest.
Then he comes up with a chicken. So.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, right. Why would there be chickens in the forest either? Or in a weather vane, right? Gonzo has a weather vane.
Oh, yes, they also have, somewhere along the way they picked up a weather
I
vane.
assume they hit a barn.
Okay.
I guess so, yeah. In the forest, though. Like
Right. Maybe there's a cabin.
Barn in the forest. Why not?
Yeah, okay.
I guess so, yeah. I was going to say, I think it's so funny that we don't see Gonzo and Rizzo during a lot of these noises. It's this majestic image of Scrooge and the spirit, you know, this kind of like shot from the side. It's just this like beautiful, and all we hear is like Rizzo howling and Gonzo saying, "Excuse me, pardon me."
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah,
makes
it's not
it so
funny
much
if we
funnier
see
than if
what
we
they're
saw
doing.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, when they emerge from the trees, there is a live chicken
Louise
on Gonzo. Yes, it's Gonzo introduces the chicken. This is Louise. I don't know for sure if this chicken is named after Louise Gold, one of the puppeteers who worked on this movie, but I'd like to think so.
Oh, that's an idea, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. So, yeah, of course, Gonzo would be the one to quickly befriend a chicken. Then, as this clip ends, they all appear to be beginning their final descent into the past, and that is the end of this clip. So that's all I have on these 2 minutes, but I do want to go into because we've now been formally introduced to the Ghost of Christmas Past. That means it's time for me to go down the list of other characters who have played this part in other adaptations featuring established characters. Now, the ghosts are very important to this story, so they're in pretty much all of the adaptations. So there are a handful of names here. In Mickey's Christmas Carol, the Ghost of Christmas Past was played by Jiminy Cricket. In the Flintstones Christmas Carol, it was Wilma. This character does appear in the Smurf Christmas Carol special from 2011, where she was played by Smurfette.
Whoa, 2011?
Yes, it's some of the cast from the movies.
So it's a CGI?
Yeah,
special?
Yeah.
Huh.
I will probably not try to catch up with that one as I make my way through.
That's not as good as the Patrick Stewart movie, you don't think?
I guess I can't know for sure until I see both of them, but in that episode of the Real Ghostbusters cartoon that we talked about a couple weeks ago, it was Peter Venkman pretending to be the Ghost of Christmas Present to show Scrooge the error of his ways.
With like a curly blonde wig on, right?
I think so. Yeah, they had to kind of like put on costumes to make themselves look like the ghosts. Peter Venkman, of course, the character played by Bill Murray in the movies, but not voiced by Bill Murray on the Saturday morning cartoon.
No, but it was Lorenzo Music.
It was Lorenzo Music. Yeah, I was trying to think.
It's not nothing. Yeah.
No, it's not nothing. When did Dave Coulier take over that part on the cartoon?
Season 3, I think.
Okay, I don't remember. I think the Christmas episode is season 2. If I read that.
It's definitely him.
Yeah,
that's the only episode of that show I've seen in the past 25 years. Probably.
Okay, Lorenzo Music, the original Garfield himself, Carlton, your doorman himself,
the co-creator of the Bob Newhart show himself.
Yeah, all those things. Okay, so also I recently mentioned a Muppet Magazine comic strip parody of the story called A Sort of Christmas Carol. In that predates this movie. In that, the Ghost of Christmas Past was played by Fozzie.
Huh.
Which doesn't seem like the most logical casting.
No. Well, just Fozzie wig is such a slam dunk as we
right. It must just not have occurred to them when they were making that comic strip. How perfect that was. Yeah. And then I don't know if we've mentioned yet A Sesame Street Christmas Carol, which was this direct-to-video special from 2006, where
Clip show.
Yeah, Oscar is playing the Scrooge part, and the ghosts show up to show him some clips from older, more entertaining Sesame Street holiday specials to try to get him to convert and enjoy Christmas. In that one, The Ghost of Christmas Past is represented by an animated grouch named Rhubarb the Grouch. There's also a special Sesame Street Christmas, the bizarre special from 1978 that we've covered on Tough Pigs before a couple times. One of the weirdest Sesame Street things ever made. Big Bird and Oscar and Barkley are the only Muppets who appear in it. Other than that, it's just human characters and guest stars. Oscar, once again, in that is playing the Scrooge role. And in that one, the guest star singer Anne Murray pretends to be the Ghost of Christmas Past. She shows Oscar images of his childhood by having him look into a magic eggnog container. But Anne Murray is Canadian, so it sounds like magic eggnog container. Something like that. Magic eggnog. And last, but probably least, the Rich Little Christmas Special.
Rich Little's everybody.
Once again, yes. So I will have you guess, who did Rich Little cast? What impression did Rich Little use to play the role of the Ghost of Christmas Past?
Jennifer, do you want to guess first? Do you have an idea?
I watched the Rich Little Christmas Carol last year, and I can't remember which impressions he did for which characters. I know he did Humphrey Bogart in there somewhere, and I can't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'll just tell you. It was Humphrey Bogart.
I'm going to guess.
I see. I was thinking.
Humphrey Bogart as the Ghost of Christmas Past. You know, the more of these we go through, I realize that Rich Little did not seem to have any rhyme or reason to his casting for the story.
Well, I think
Bogart's from the past. I guess that.
Yeah.
But I'm old, so I remember when Rich Little was funny and was everywhere. And also, as a classic movie buff, I'm very invested in all of his impressions.
Sure, yeah.
I think his Humphrey Bogart is funny, right?
His Humphrey Bogart is,
and that's why, because Bogart was already in the 70s this figure of nostalgia.
Oh yeah, he already seemed like he was from old movies.
Exactly, which that has a lot to do with getting his big break in Hollywood when he was already in his mid 40s, right? But so he really was already middle aged when he got famous. But yeah, I mean, I think the Rich Little thing is really funny. It's bizarre, and you kind of have to be of a certain age and a certain inclination to really think it's funny, I guess. But I do.
Yeah, I actually, I don't think I've seen it. We've talked about a sketch from the Dana Carvey show where Dana Carvey did Rich Little's Easter special. So I kind of get all that jumbled in my head with real things that Rich Little did. But
you have to go through and do W.C. Fields, and he has to, he has to go through and do all of these, classic figures. I'll tell you my other favorite Ghost of Christmas Past, because I really do love this one, but we were talking about Scrooged before, is David Johansen, aka Buster Poindexter.
The
ghost. Jim Henson, our guest star, David Johansen.
Yes.
He is so funny in that sequence, and that movie is so quotable. But in my family, every time somebody gets teary-eyed or starts to sniffle at something that's emotional, we always say Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel, because that's what the ghost says to Frank, Bill Murray's character, when he takes him to the past and shows him his childhood.
That's funny.
So I love him. I got to shout out to him as my other favorite.
I have not been keeping up with the casting from Scrooged. Maybe I should be.
You got to watch Scrooged, Ryan. It's really great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's enough of that nonsense. That's all I have for these 2 minutes. Any other thoughts from either of you on these 2 minutes? Jennifer, I'll start with you.
I really love this puppet, and I love the way that the film remains faithful, forgive the pun, to the spirit of A Christmas Carol, even as it makes changes to make it a family film, to make it a Muppet film. There's just so much in this story that gets at the heart of what Dickens is trying to do with this story. And I think this ghost and this moment in the film really gives us that magic and wonder and that reverence that is so appropriate to this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And you, if I remember right, you did specifically request to come on
I
the
did. I
podcast
did.
with this character. So yeah, I can see that you have a lot of fondness for the Ghost of Christmas Past.
I do, and I think memory is such a powerful thing, and the movie does a really good job showing us the way in which memory operates and the way we bury things from our past. And when we're confronting those things, they can really tell us a lot about who we are and how we've become the person that we are.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And we're gonna see more of that
Oh yeah.
as we go along with Scrooge into his past. Anthony, any thoughts on these 2 minutes, or do we have more from the old Curiosity Shop?
I mean, we've kind of with Jennifer here, we've kind of had the old Curiosity Shop open the whole time.
Yeah, I think so.
Which
Little
has
Nell
been
not
such a
going to make
blast. Right? Oh,
the old
yeah,
Curiosity
that's
Shop.
just the right. See, that's what I mean. You make a reference to the actual book. The old Curiosity Shop is just what I call the segment where I talk about A Christmas Carol, the novel. But because we're curious about about what happened, about how the movie compares to the novel, right?
And you bought the novel in a shop.
And I bought the novel in a shop. Yeah. I actually saw, I think I told Ryan this. I actually saw the old Curiosity Shop in a used bookstore in Minneapolis. An old, not, I mean, obviously not like a first edition or anything, but a copy from the 1940s or something.
Yeah.
And I almost picked it up. I've never read it. I should.
Oh,
I named a segment on my podcast after it.
It's not
I
one
should
of
read it.
it's not one of Dan's most widely read books today. You know, it's not Tale of Two Cities or Oliver Twist or David Copperfield or Christmas Carol. But it's
Right.
an interesting book, and it was a huge hit in the 19th century. So the anecdote about the old Curiosity Shop and Little Nell was that in the United States, people hadn't gotten, right, it came out serially, as you know, they were published in segments. And people were dying to know if Little Nell, who was ill in the last chapter, right, was going to live or die. And they were waiting at the docks when the latest edition of the latest serial installment was on the boat. And people were there waiting at the docks, shouting at the sailors, "Does Little Nell die?"
Wow.
It's so funny how nothing ever changes, because that's just like firing up Netflix at 3 a.m. to watch Stranger Things.
Yeah, I was just thinking like people waiting for the last episode of Better Call Saul.
We think about media frenzies and people's investment in fictional characters and popular culture as being sort of a modern thing, but that was Dickens' super celebrity stardom as an author. Everybody needed to know what happened in these stories.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's all I had to say.
All right. Then Jennifer, we have some questions that we like to ask all of our guests. Do you remember the first time you saw this movie? Where does it go in your ranking of all the Muppet movies? And I think you may have answered this already. Do you watch it every year around the holidays?
So I do remember seeing it in the movie theater in 1992 when it first came out. It was a bittersweet experience because, of course, it was the first film after Jim died.
Yeah.
And so we watched, my now husband, then boyfriend, and I went to see it in Atlanta where we were in college. And we talked about, Kermit sounds different. And still, it's really good to see the Muppets survive his passing. And so it was kind of it was a great choice because A Christmas Carol is a bittersweet story. And it's a story of partings, right? As Bob Cratchit Kermit says. About Tiny Tim's death, but that scene about Tiny Tim, like I think everybody in the audience kind of felt like it was a eulogy for Jim.
Yeah.
In the same time, it felt so appropriate and emotional. And I remember, like we were all just like sniffling, and the Niagara Falls was happening right in the theater because it was really powerful to see that movie in the wake of Henson's death. And kind of understand what it meant to Brian Henson to direct it, to the puppeteers to carry on, and just to be part of that experience then. So I definitely remember seeing it. Let's see, where does it rank in the Muppet movies? It is a special favorite of mine, and I know this is contentious, right? But for me, like the original Muppet movie and then this movie, this is like second only to the original.
Awesome.
I just love this movie. And because of that, yes, I do watch it every year, and I watch it twice every year at Christmas.
Okay.
Because we watch it right after Thanksgiving. Like as soon as we are allowed to watch Christmas movies, this is the first one we watch. We have a whole collection of Christmas movies that we watch every year. So we watch this one first, and then we watch Scrooged, and we watch White Christmas. Sometimes we watch It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, depending on how we feel about It's a Wonderful Life that year. We watch Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph and stuff like that. But then we always watch this one again on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
Cool.
there's so
Love
many Christmas movies and specials that it's like, I want to watch that every year, but there are just so many of them that it's hard sometimes to find the time within a single month. But I do respect you waiting until after Thanksgiving to watch that stuff, because it just feels wrong to me to I mean, obviously we're watching this movie 2 minutes at a time for like an entire year, but it would feel strange to me to sit down like at the end of October and watch
Although
a Christmas
it's
movie.
got kind of a Halloweeny vibe too, but
I guess it does, yeah, the ghosts.
But usually, like the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, when we do not leave the house, that is our first viewing of Christmas Carol. And then my kid pretty much insists. My kid's 21 now, but we've watched it every single year that my kid has been alive. And so Christmas Eve, that is what they want to watch every year. They're like, we're all going to sit down as a family. We're watching Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
of course, with The Love Is Gone. Like we only watch the version with the song in it.
Okay, well,
Sure.
you I'm sure you've heard that they're putting that back on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. We watched it on Disney Plus one time because we were like, oh, we won't go get the DVD, and then we were all mad because the song wasn't in. We're like, now we have to watch the actual version because that song that's important. We have to have that.
Yeah. I will talk about this, but I used to be very kind of I don't know, cranky about it, but I've warmed up to that song quite a bit. But we will get to that in a future clip.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll have plenty of time.
We will, yes. For now, then we can wrap things up for this week. Everyone, please make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet and everywhere, social media and all those places. Thanks to Morgan Davy for our logo. If you would like to support us on Patreon, we would appreciate that very much at patreon.com/toughpigs. You can email us at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com. You can find me on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. I'm on Letterboxd at Movies Are Neat, and Anthony is on Letterboxd at Zeppo Marxist. So please follow us there. And Jennifer, where can our listeners find you and or your work on the internet?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Jennifer Garlen, so I'm pretty easy to find. My classic movie literature and popular culture blog, Virtual Virago, is also pretty frequently updated, and I write the Silver Screen Standards column for the Classic Movie Hub.
Very cool. Everybody go follow all of those things. Also, everybody, if there's somewhere that you can give us a positive review online, we would love it if you do that. We do check periodically to see if anyone has given us a 5-star rating or a nice review, so we love seeing those. Also, please tell everyone you know about this show and join us again next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. Until then, goodbye lunch.